Hi. So it's been a while since I've sort of done a life update, right? So I'm going to put in some clips of what exactly I've been up to as I recently came back to France after having a long process of trying to sort out my visa in the UK. Finally, I'm here and that nightmare is over. It was a real hanged man kind of energy. I kind of feel that energy of the Ten of Wands as well, you know, that last final hurdle to get somewhere but not really seeing clearly, not seeing clearly through that hurdle, through the wands, but you keep pushing forward in the hope that you're going to reach there somehow, right? Because I got originally turned down for my first visa application and I was able, hair on my face, cat hair on the face, what's new? Which reminds me, I'm back with Seiji. I will go on to talk about Seiji in a moment. Any of you who have been watching my channel for a while will know about my cat, my familiar Sage. I've been apart from him for a long time last year. Then I finally came back to France. Then with Brexit, which is a really lame political situation in the UK where the UK left the European Union, which made it very difficult in this move. And with the timing of my horses being ill, I wasn't able to make it over here in time to meet that deadline for Brexit. But that's all kind of in the process of being sorted, but most importantly, I have my visa. Fingers crossed I can get my residency and all is well. But what matters right now is I'm back in France and just in time for spring, which is the most important season when it comes to the garden, when it comes to growing, right? I'm not sure if I've mentioned it, but my aim of moving here was really a lot to do with the garden. I really want to have as much of a self-sufficient lifestyle as possible, so I want to grow my own food and I want to do it in the style of permaculture and food forests, but I'm just learning as I go. I'm no professional, but it's definitely something I'm really passionate about. I think it's important that we have more of a connection with our food, and I do think there's no better way of doing that than growing your own food, and especially in the way of permaculture where you're working with the environment in harmony. Since I've been back about 2 weeks now and we've had some really great weather. So I've been doing a lot of back-breaking work in the garden, and the garden that we have is kind of big. It's about an acre. I've never had my own garden before. This is a big dream of mine. So I really feel like I'm living the dream when I'm here to even have my own garden and to be able to start like the steps and the process towards my vision that I have for this place. It's so stunning here. You might have seen in the last video I did that was about the house here. I think that video is called How to Be Happy in Winter, and I will leave that in the iCard above. If you've not seen it, do check it out. I'm really proud of that video. You get to see like the amazing views I have here of the mountains. The energy here is so peaceful and calm, and yeah, I do love it here, so it feels great to be back. My fruit trees survived. We had a nightmare planting them last year. It was in winter and I really weren't sure they were going to survive, but they're blossoming and they're thriving, and it's just the bare bones, the bare beginning of the orchard, the fruit orchard that I have in mind. I love fruit. I plan on growing a lot of fruit here. The fruit trees that I planted was 2 cherry trees, a nectarine, a peach tree, 2 pear trees, and 2 fig trees. Is there another one? Pretty sure that's all the trees that I planted already on the property. There's 2 apple trees, a apricot tree. I think it's an apricot tree. Like the plant identifier app is saying it's an apricot tree, but we'll see when it fruits, right? And another tree that I think is a plum tree. I also have 2 huge hibiscus shrubs. I have a dream of having my own herbary, and particularly I'm excited to make teas for this herbary. So having these really mature hibiscus, they're kind of like trees, they're more like really tall shrubs, is perfect. So I know I'll have an abundance of hibiscus to use for my teas. I've also started a bit of planting when it comes to fruit bushes. I've put out 2 blueberry bushes and 6 raspberry bushes. I planted a few other plants, a couple of roses, some strawberries and some herbs. Maybe I can go more in detail with my garden, a more garden focused video in the future. But I'm also such a perfectionist, so it's really hard for me to share things when they're nowhere near completion and nowhere near how I want them to be yet. But I really am working at letting go of being such a perfectionist and needing everything to be perfect before I can share, because I think that there's so much value in sharing the progress and what I'm learning, the mistakes I'm making, how the vision is going to change, because I know the vision's going to change a lot. I'll show you now like a little plan I've made for like one kind of third of my garden. I've drawn out a little plan so you can have a look at that now. And it is taken from a bird's eye view of the garden. I have a lot of little plans there, you can see, and I know they're going to change and they're going to develop. Right now I don't have any kind of like rotavator that can plow the land, so I've been digging it up by hand, and it's quite hard clay soil, so that has been a real challenge for me. But I've been having a nice balance here. I haven't just been killing myself in the garden, let's say. It is hard to do anything but want to be out in the garden when the weather's so great. Hence why I'm filming this little clip for you today while it's raining outside and there's no motivation for me to be out there. I really do want to reconnect with my channel here, as I feel like I've really grown distant from the channel, and it's nothing about you guys who support me. I appreciate you so much. I've just been, while I was in London, I really got in a very low energy space and lost touch with what it is that I want to do and who I am, because I felt like that was all wrapped up here. But I learned a lot of lessons about that, and I do feel it's worth sort of touching on that now, how different I found my life being when I returned back to London. Not only did I feel a bit of a burden staying with friends and family, moving around just to not be too much in someone else's space too much, so I was moving around quite a bit. Also, I spent a lot of money, I wasted a lot of money that I was saving for my plans here on the land and the property, and that was frustrating. But I find that I was just sort of reaching for things to bring me any kind of instant gratification or joy, whether that was just not even being able to cook for myself and mostly eating unhealthy takeaways. I'm not even someone who goes to the cinema, but while I was back there I went to the cinema a lot. I was playing pool a lot. I was doing things you do when you're in London. Yeah, just not really working towards or saving the money and living a healthy lifestyle like really was my intention. I kind of let it all go in that low energy, kind of depressed energy that I found myself in there. Something I would like to treat myself to sometimes when I was in London was going down to the arcade. because the arcade really brings me that nostalgic kind of feeling. When I was younger, one of my favourite things to do was go hang out in the arcade. It really kind of brought me back that nostalgic energy, that joy, feeding my inner child. It's very Six of Cups energy. That Six of Cups energy is a beautiful, joyful, nostalgic energy, right? That brings you back to that inner child. But when you're kind of using it almost like as a drug, as an instant gratification, as soon as that moment's over, like as soon as you've left the arcade and it's gone again, and you realize that, you know, I've grown up and there's so much more I want to be doing with my life, and kind of lost who I was for a while. But that's not to say that I didn't learn so much from that, because I think just as much as it's great to be in our light and following our dreams, there's so much to learn when you're lost and you're in the darkness and you can't find your light and you've lost touch with your ambition, your motivation, and your dreams, and you can fall into things such as procrastination. That is kind of that moon card energy, right? Where we kind of can't see clearly ahead of us, so we're kind of dwelling in the moment, forget that there's something beyond this moment. That's what procrastinating does to us. We're just focused on the instant gratification, even though that's not moving us towards our goals. And I think that can be a negative side of the moon card. So I really felt myself exploring a lot of these energies within me and getting lost within them, and not in a positive sense. But now I've kind of pulled out of that time and I can look back and reflect, and I can see I am literally a completely different person now I'm here. I was pretty much destroying my relationships back in London. I had lost myself and I was so easily focused on the negative. I had some amazing experiences while I was there. There was one weekend that we took out to go visit Glastonbury. And in the UK, Glastonbury really is a place of pure magic and joy for me. I loved our trip there. And this time, instead of spending all my time in those beautiful witchy shops, which is really hard for me to not spend all my time in those witchy shops while I'm there and spend money I don't really want to spend, but I did really well. I knew I just needed two things: mugwort seeds and green candles, green spell candles, and that's all I got. I didn't overindulge, so I was very proud of myself, especially because there were so many beautiful decks and books that I wanted, but I restrained. We'd made this trip to be much more focused on sacred sites, so we knew we wanted to go to the Tor. And on one side of the hill of the Tor, there is a spot with this big giant stone, and it's called the Dragon Egg. And I'd been meaning to go, and I think somebody left a comment on one of my other videos mentioning that I should go see the Dragon Egg, and they'd left a link for that, and I did go check it out, and it was really cool. We laid on top of the hill right next to the Tor, and I always find that is such a magical spot. If you ever go to Glastonbury, I feel like you have to go to the Tor, and if you have the time, go to the Chalice Well Gardens, or at least just go to like the Chalice Well stream, I think that's what it's called, or the white something stream, and just fill up your water bottle, because the water there is free and it tastes great. I just feel like it has such magical vibes. Another really exciting thing that we did when we went on that Glastonbury trip is that we found online that there was a place called the Glastonbury Stone Circles, but it wasn't open to the public. It was actually, in fact, on private farmers' land, and there was no like direct directions there. You couldn't find any address or anything. but we managed to like zoom in around on Google Maps or Google Earth, and we found the stone circle. We pinned it. We drove as close as we could, which was about a 20-minute walk away, because like I said, it's in the middle of these private farmer fields, private land. We sneaked across, and it was quite scary because you could hear in the background all these guns going off, so you're thinking, oh god, don't want to get caught on a farmer's land while he's got a gun in his hand. But it was a little adventure, and it was so worth it because we found these stones in all their glory, and I will show you clips from this. It was amazing. The energy there was just so calming. I really could feel some kind of like magic coming from the stones. I didn't have any crazy visions. I did see this kind of spirit smoke, which I sometimes see. That's something I see quite regularly, so I wasn't like blown away. But I took time to lay hands on each of the stone and feel and listen. And I noticed as I went around, the temperatures were changing on each stone. It felt so good just to be there and be present. The most amazing part is that nobody else was there but us. And that felt really special, because often when you go to sacred sites, there's always tourists there, right? And it's really hard to kind of calm your mind and calm your heart and really tune into the space. And we had that gift of doing that. It wasn't all bad, my time going back to the UK. I struggle with London though. I grew up in London, and I spent my life wanting to escape the place. To have finally escaped to France and then having to return is hard. And yeah, that was hard. But like I said, I had this amazing experience in Glastonbury, and that really brought me back to myself. I really felt so happy in my time there. And the day that I got my visa, I was so elated and so excited to return back to France. When I returned to France, I was so excited to see my familiar cat Sage, and also my dad, who also lives on the property here, settle back into life here, into the country life. It's so dark at night here, such a contrast from the light polluted city of London. It just, honestly, it was an instant change in my vibration the moment I arrived, and I just know that I'm destined to live within nature. I'm a countryside kind of girl, even though I was born in London. This is my home, and this is where I really want to lay down my roots. So when I was in London, actually, I drove down to Portsmouth one day, and I purchased myself my own archery bow and set of arrows. This was a real treat for me. I don't often treat myself to any kind of sporting equipment. I'm not the most sporty person, but this is a hobby that I've been really wanting to pursue. I had it go on Trey's bow and arrow, and I really enjoyed it. And the fact that we can just shoot arrows in our garden at like bales of hay here in France, and I can do it whenever I want. I don't have to pay to join a club. Kind of sealed the deal on the fact that I wanted to get my own one that is designed for me, is a weight that I can pull. Most days when it's sunny, we'll always do a round of archery at the end of the day, and I've been really enjoying that. I'm very competitive. I think it's that Leo sun energy in me, right? So luckily I'm just competing with myself, so there's no arguments there. But I have hit a few bullseyes, and you know, that really does make my day. So I have really been enjoying my new hobby, archery. We also purchased a new little ride-on grass cutting tractor, which honestly is so much fun. We have a lot of overgrown grass here, so a lot of the time since I've been back on the dry days, I've been out cutting the grass on that thing, just listening to music or audiobooks and podcasts in my headphones, and just loving life, just out there in the sun, cutting the grass, riding on the little tractor, living my best cowgirl life, I think. Talking of cowgirl, my horses are still recovering in the rehabilitation centre back in the UK. I will show you some footage of the last time that I went to see them and some photos. I saw them a couple of times when I was back in the UK, but it's quite up north, so it's about a 5-hour drive there. They're doing really well, especially Barney, who you know. He was really, really poorly, really sick. With Cushing's disease. It's a really difficult disease to cope with and to recover from, but he is making amazing progress. He's lost a lot of weight, which he needs to with that disease, because it puts pressure on his feet, which is the issue with that disease. He's looking a lot better. So he's still in the process of recovering. They're very kind of holistic at this place, so they do a lot of things like acupuncture, chiropractor, body work, energy work, and they have like a barefoot foot specialist. Not interesting really for you guys who don't have horses, but they're kind of getting the 5-star treatment, which is another reason why I have to be so careful with money right now, because we are spending a lot of money on the horses. My dream is still to have them here in France, but I have to just play it by ear, not get my heart too wrapped up in the outcome of that, because it needs to be what is best for the horses. And right now what's best for the horses is that they stay in this rehabilitation place, and it's too much right now for them, especially obviously Barney. Gus would probably be fine, but it was too much for Barney right now to do the long journey all the way from the UK to France, and you know, I just have to accept that right now. Gus is such a mummy's boy. I know he's missing us, and I miss him so much. It really hurts my heart to think about it too much, but I have to accept that right now this is the best thing for them, and just hope that one day I'll look out my window and they'll be here in France with me, and I dream of that day. The renovations on the house, while I was away, my dad was really sweet actually to help out in what's going to be sort of my bedroom and ensuite. So I turned one of the rooms, it's actually a really big room, most of the rooms in this house are really big, into a bathroom next to what's going to be my bedroom. This is currently my bedroom, but I'm moving in the bedroom next door, and it's like its own little quarters of the house. It's a private little hallway between my bedroom and my future ensuite. I'm really excited to move into that, and my dad was very sweet to start the process on that. Last year when I was here, we got everything for the bathroom, we purchased it, and we had a plumber in, and we'd started progress on that. So when we were here last year, we were peeling off all the wallpaper, smashing down these like cupboard wall things that were built in, kind of like these. I didn't get any footage of us smashing those down. I really wish I had. It was super fun. I have a bit of footage, I think, of the room, what it looked like before. So I put that in if I can find it, and then show you sort of where I am now. Last week I was doing a bit of tiling in there. That was actually really fun. I really enjoyed doing the tiling, so I'm kind of excited for when I start my kitchen, where I get to do some more tiling. We've got a couple more days of the plumber coming in, and then I can do the final coats. I also have to scrape off this like lino that's on the floor in my private hallway in there, but progress is happening, and that will be like the first like renovated and completed renovations in this house so far. So the house renovations are going really slow. We've had the chimneys swept and like topped, and I don't know all the technical words for that, and that was quite a process. There's a lot of chimneys in the house. I am going to have a lovely little fire stove in my bathroom, and I'm hoping my bedroom, but I'm going to see about that, see how the money goes. Yeah, I'm really excited for that to be done. and move into there, and then I can start on my kitchen. So my dad lives in the same building, but it's his own complete own apartment, and he's already done his bedroom and his living room. They're all like painted. He didn't have to do a lot to them because they were really kind of nice to start with, a lot of original features. We're sort of sharing a kitchen right now. We'll do his kitchen first, and then we'll start my kitchen, so that there's always a kitchen that we can be using until both kitchens are done. And yeah, so the kitchen will be next. But like I said, the renovations are going quite slow. We're sort of doing it all ourselves, so I'm not putting too much pressure on myself, especially with the amount of work I'm doing in the garden. With it being spring, there's so much to do to get the land ready, to get the plants planted, the seeds planted, so that I can have some crops. The most exciting part for me about living now in the south of France is it's a warmer climate than the UK, so I'm able to grow a lot more variety of foods here. So that really excites me. I'm particularly excited to grow like melons and, you know, lots of fruits. The fig trees, I'm excited for the figs. We've already got little baby figs on the fig tree, and also passion fruit. I have a lot of passion fruit seedlings in right now, and I'm just really hoping they will take, because they're like really slow growers. I think that's sort of everything on this update, guys. I would definitely say tarot wise, I don't know. You know what card I pulled today? I pulled the Death card, and I think it's time to transition into a new energy. I'm kind of finding myself again, and kind of makes sense like for me to pull that card today, because I didn't plan on recording this video today, but I just suddenly felt inspired to. It kind of makes sense starting again, and with a new energy and a new perspective, and sharing with you guys this big transition that I've been going through. Trying to think if there was any like other tarot cards that I really have been feeling the energy of since I've been here. I guess you could state the obvious with something like the Eight of Pentacles, because I feel like I've just been like working really hard in the garden and stuff, but it's all kind of new, so I'm really sort of learning my craft, putting the energy in, and that being in that pentacle energy, that earth energy, very grounded and connected with the earth and focused on that. I think that will be all for now, guys. I will be back with you soon. I hope you enjoyed this little update. I hope you're well, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.